We do more of the things we like, less of the things we don't. We do more of the things that challenge us, less of the things that don't. More of the things that give us visibility, less of the things that don't. More of the things that impact those who we care about, less of the things we don't. It is a win, 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 win scenario. Welcome back to Leadership Highway. I'm Coach McCurdy. Leadership Highway is the fast track podcast to help you 10x your impact, break barriers, and most importantly, get out of your own damn way. So today's road trip is about prioritizing. It's a conversation that I have over and over and over and over again. Why? Because most people end up looking for an executive coach, a mindset coach, looking for help when they feel a bit overwhelmed, when they feel like they're underwater, when they feel like they're clawing their way out of their life, their work, their relationships, whatever it is that's going on. And so a lot of times I'll sit down or get on Zoom or have a conversation with someone that's like, just need to prioritize better. And in my head, I'm thinking, really? Do you even know how? Which ways are you doing it? There's about 27 different ways that someone can tell you to prioritize your work, your life, your thoughts. And so what I want to do today is not tell you which one is the best, but I want to first run through some of the common methodologies that are out there. And then I want to sort of bust that barrier. I want to break that myth that these are all the ways that you should. And I'd like to talk about some of the psychology of prioritizing. If we know what's going on in our head, if we know what our brain is doing that kind of screws us up when we're trying to be super intentional about our life, if we know what's going on when we get derailed, maybe we can think about our priorities in a different way. Maybe, just maybe, we can take down that anxiety and that stress level a little bit and maybe bring it from like a level 10 to a level 6.5. Maybe when we look at something, we can identify that what we're trying to prioritize isn't even ours. Maybe we will realize that what we're trying to prioritize is something nobody gives a shit about. Maybe. Imagine that. Because a lot of us have an overinflated sense of self-importance. And in that, we think that people actually give a shit about whether we're the ones that do the work. I call it the give a shit factor. And no, it's not a real thing. It's just a me thing. But you have to assess the give a shit factor. How much do you care and how much does the other person care about what's going on? So let's talk briefly about some of the ways that people tend to prioritize outside of just making a big long list. So one of them is called a time multiplier. We can take a look at, is what we're doing today something that impacts more things in the future? Time multiplying. It's a pretty cool way to think about things. And I do believe that we should always anticipate that we do one thing so that multiple things can happen. There's grouping. A lot of times people say, well, I'm going to do everything that requires me to go downtown at once. That's a great way. Hey, unless you love driving, you like paying for parking. Sometimes people say, well, I'm going to do everything that requires me to be in front of a client on this day. Great. Grouping is a wonderful strategy. It doesn't really still get up in here. We've got things like the Eisenhower Matrix, where we think about things in terms of urgent versus important. We've got the Buffett strategy, where we keep the big goals in mind and everything else just kind of happens. We have the eat that frog strategy, where we do the worst task first, and if we have two bad ones, we eat the biggest one first, the ugliest frog. But what often happens is we get stuck and we are still doing things that we don't think are really moving us forward. We kind of cycle through and ultimately and frequently, we end up in a scenario where we still feel overwhelmed. We end up in a scenario where we still have more work to do than hours in the day. And it's not because we're lousy at prioritizing. I think we're lousy at recognizing our own importance and what our brain is doing with these tasks. So I want to talk about prioritizing or spending our time a little bit differently. So I want to think about it in terms of how important is it to you that your hands are on this task? How important is it? How important is each and everything to you? And generally, when I start these conversations with clients, by the way, guys, I want you to like, follow, share, comment on Leadership Highway. These are big concepts. It takes a lot of repetition, and I want you in it with me. I'm in this thing with you. So join the tribe, buckle up, and let's keep working through this together. Okay? So let's think about how important is it to me, honestly? Not the company line, not what we think our spouse wants to hear, not what we think that our friends want to hear, and not what we think our boss wants to hear or the CEO wants to hear, but legit, how important is this to you? And then I want to pair it up against how important is it that you do this to the people who have influence over you? So if there is someone that you care about and they influence you, your boss, your friend, your colleague, your peer, your kids, if there is a person or a group of people that you really care about, so they exert influence on you and they impact how you think about your life, then I want you to ask yourself, not do they impact my life, but how important is it to those people who have influence over me? How important is it that I put my hands on it? Interestingly, a lot of times it's not actually that important to those people. They just want it done. They don't want to think about it. They just want to know it's getting done. So if we think about it in those two contexts, we immediately start to we have a matrix. Look at that. We have a quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, quadrant 4 of how to think about what's in front of us. So let's talk about the top and most important. So when something matters to us, we think about it, we dream about it, we wake up and we're still knowing that it's something that we really want to get done. It's a goal that matters, big or small. And we know that the people around us care that it's us that does it. That's almost always the first thing we do. Even if we think something has a higher priority, even if something has a sooner deadline, even if all the other ways of thinking about prioritizing would tell you differently, if it's resident in your mind and it's resident in the minds of people around you, that is absolutely where you're spending your time. You can't help it. You can't help it. It's mental. Even if you think you're doing something else, your mind's still going to that. It's how that works, because you're getting a high off of getting it done, and you're getting a double high off of someone else being glad you got it done. You have not just doubled it. You've actually, what did we say on Leadership Highway? We 10x'd it, because it's a multiplier. It's a force multiplier. So don't beat yourself up because you give a shit about something and other people give a shit about it, and you do it first when some calendar says that something else is important. You're fighting biology here. It's going to be the first things you do. Awesome. Now, I'm not trying to get you fired or anything. You still have to do all of your shit. Do your stuff. Do the job you're paid to do. But the order of operations is almost always going to pull you into the things that you care about and that the people who have influence over you care about. All right? Group 2. You care about it. No one else even thinks about it. You care about it, but the people around you don't really care either that it gets done or who does it. What's a great example of that? I'll tell you a great example of it, brushing your teeth. We live in a virtual world. I have to tell you, I brush my teeth every day. I brush my teeth 2 and 3 times a day. I promise you, watching this podcast, you cannot smell my breath. But if you could, it's minty fresh. So why? Because it matters to me that I brush my teeth. It matters to me that my teeth are good. It matters to me. It matters to me so much that I will brush my teeth even if it means that I'm 30 seconds late. That's how much it matters to me. Now, if I was just prioritizing based on a calendar, I would show up and I probably wouldn't have used deodorant. I probably wouldn't have brushed my teeth. I probably wouldn't have made my bed. I probably wouldn't have tucked in my shirt. Why? Because no one cares, but it matters to me. Most of the things in that column are the things that are really personal. It could be your personal habits. It can be your personal life. It could be your personal career goals. Nobody cares except you. That is still going to take precedence over something that you don't care about and someone else does. It just sits there in your head. And when we have stuff in our head that is derailing us from doing other work, what happens? You know what happens. You've probably done it. Hell, you might be doing it now. I don't know. But when these kind of things are taking place, even if we try to focus on something else, our mind still keeps coming back saying, wait. Why? Because we care. And the stuff that matters to us is always going to be above the line. So if you care about you getting it done, it is an above the line scenario and you keep it. You keep it even if other people don't think it's important. You keep it even if no one understands. You keep it even if nobody else ever sees you doing it. You keep it. How easy is that? Right? Because all these other ways of thinking about it probably tell you to delegate some of that. I'm going to tell you don't. Why? Because it will bother you. And if it bothers you, you won't be productive. If it bothers you, you won't be focused. So let's talk about Quadrant 3. Quadrant 3 is what we call grunt work. Quadrant 3 is the stuff that you do not care about. It doesn't mean you don't care in a global sense that it gets done. But Quadrant 3 are the things that people who have influence over you need you to do, but you'd be fine if you never did it again. Like an expense report, like cleaning out the garage, like picking up the dry cleaning, like attending an all-staff meeting. Those kind of things matter to people who have influence over you, and it matters that you show up. But for most of us, we just don't care. But we do it because people who have influence over us care that we're there. They care about our involvement. They care about our engagement. Those are Quadrant 3. And a lot of times people will ask me, why isn't that a 2? Well, why? Because you don't give a shit about it. That's why. And if you don't care about it, it's really hard to make that take precedence over something you do care about. So stop beating yourself up for that. And instead, just recognize it and say, all right, so I'm doing the things that we're in agreement with. The people who care about me and the people who have influence over me want and I care about. Then I'm doing the things that keep me up at night if I don't get done. Then I'm doing the things that I really would be fine never doing again, or maybe it's just not that big a deal to me, but the people that I care about, it matters to them that I show up. The last quadrant, I call it the opportunity zone. You know it's there, and if you try to tell me you don't have anything in Quadrant 4, I'm going to call bullshit on you. Book a time, let's talk, because everybody has a Quadrant 4. What's in Quadrant 4? Quadrant 4 are those things that we really don't enjoy doing, don't think are necessary, that drag us down, that we hate doing, that someone else could be doing, and nobody that we care about, nobody who has influence over us, cares that it's us. Now, hear me clearly. I did not say they don't care that it doesn't get done, but they don't care who does it. They don't care who does it. Ordering lunch, setting a date, putting something on a calendar, getting an update. They don't care. They just want it done. They just want it done. Returning a call, checking a statistic, whatever it is, most of those things in that Quadrant 4, that's our opportunity zone. Why? For many reasons. Number one, it's an opportunity to take some things off our plate so that we have more time to do the things that are in Quadrants 1, 2, and 3. But also, I'd like to think about this also as an opportunity for the people around us. So you might not think that putting together a presentation or coordinating a lunch or getting an event structured or is very exciting or important. In all likelihood, you've grown in your career past those types of things, but shit on your shoe, they've just kind of carried with you and you still got them. But for the people who you lead, for the people around you who are still trying to figure out who they are, what they like to do, make a name for themselves, have a chance for some exposure, some of those things just might be the opportunity they've been waiting for. It just might be their chance to be recognized by the organization. Ask them to sit in on that weekly meeting and report back to you. They might just be waiting for their chance to be the delegate or the representative of your department. Ask them to do an introduction. Ask them to coordinate. They might just be waiting for a chance to test their skills in a safe environment in a way that lets you see how they handle it. The opportunity runs both ways. It is not just get crap off your desk. It is also when you are holding on to Quadrant 4, you're kind of being selfish. When you're holding on to Quadrant 4, there are probably people around you who want to get paid to do that job, who might enjoy doing what you absolutely hate doing, who might be looking for a chance to show you what they can do, who are looking for more responsibility, who are bored and you're paying them to sit at their desk scrolling through Facebook. By the way, if you're going to scroll through social media, I still want you to like, follow, share, and comment on Leadership Highway because you need me. All right. But Quadrant 4 is your opportunity zone, not just for you, but for the people around you. So I want to leave with this last thought about this. When you move Quadrant 4 off, you are not left with 3 quadrants. What happens is a really unique shuffle. Some of the things in number 1 move to number 2. Some of the things in number 2 move to number 3. And some of the things that you thought it mattered if you touched, turns out people really just didn't care. And we find more things that can move to number 4. It's a little sliding downhill slope. And what that does is it creates margin at the top. And I want you to hear that. Please hear me. If we can get rid of the things in Quadrant 4, things will trickle down. And what we have is margin. We have capacity, doing the things we like to do and that people like us to do. We do more of the things we like, less of the things we don't. We do more of the things that challenge us, less of the things that don't. More of the things that give us visibility, less of the things that don't. More of the things that impact those who we care about, less of the things we don't. It is a win-win-win-win scenario. So, when you go into the office, when you wake up in the morning, when you start getting your emails done, by the way, cleaning out your inbox is another one of those Quadrant 2 things. If it bothers you to have the emails, no one has ever asked how many emails do you have in your inbox, unless they're doing research. That's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. Get your above the line things done. But if it's below the line, I want you to do a deep dive. And I want you to ask yourself, and if you're not sure, ask other people. Ask the people who've asked you to do these jobs. Hey, do you need my hands on it or can I delegate it to my person X? Hey, does it need to be me or can we look at this as an opportunity for so-and-so to get some experience? I bet 9 times out of 10, they'll say, yeah, absolutely, go for it as long as you know it gets done. Because we think we're so important, a lot of Quadrant 3 actually belongs in Quadrant 4. And then I want you to delegate the crap out of it. Get Quadrant 4 empty so that you can do more of Quadrant 1 and more of Quadrant 2 in your life. That's how I think about prioritizing. And that's what's happening up in your head. So thank you so much for joining me for this quick pit stop on Leadership Highway. I am Coach McCurdy. It is a shit show out there, guys, so I need you to buckle up, like, follow, and share, and let's enjoy this ride together. Thanks.